When talking about global warming, it's usually really hard not to mention former Vice President Al Gore, but we're going to try our best. This week, President Obama talked about global warming or climate change in a press conference, and he said his administration is going to take authoritative role in making sure that we can address climate change. Alex, Julia, and Marco, thank you for joining me. Alex, I'll go straight to you. Let's start with the basics. We can build from there. Do you believe that global warming is occurring? I mean, like, as a baseline, do you believe that this is an issue that should be addressed?
Yeah, I think global warming is an issue. It's not as bad as we originally thought. Reports came out. Al Gore made that movie we all know about.
Point there.
We're getting down here.
And it was this major issue, and now the scientists are reviewing their data, and they're saying maybe it's not so bad as we thought it was.
Well, Julia, what do you think? Do you think that this is a real big issue, or do you think that we might have 800 million other things to address before we get to this?
Well, I'm not going to lie. I'm sure that our use of energy is affecting climate change in a small way, maybe, but the Earth has been warming and cooling ever since the inception. So honestly, I think there are far more pressing issues to be worrying about than climate change.
Yeah, the planet's not in trouble. The people are in trouble.
Seriously.
But I think that we talk about we have to think about this concept of what's government's responsibility, what's the individual person's. I compost, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
All right, but is it the government's responsibility to say, hey, we have to adopt an agenda that hampers down on our energy?
Anti-business agenda,
right.
too.
And now I'm hearing about a war on coal. That's the new phrase. Yeah, that's not going to bode well for anyone.
It's kind of interesting. Some guy I got in a debate with on Facebook, he's like, oh, well, our atmosphere's in really bad shape. I said, you think our atmosphere's in bad shape? Look at our fiscal sheet. Look at how we're borrowing trillions of dollars.
Inside us.
But, I think it's this whole, President Obama says this is going to be one of his top priorities in the next couple months. Well, okay, how about not spending trillions of dollars that we don't have? I mean, yeah, Alex, should this be on the forefront of the agenda, or is President Obama kind of misguided?
I don't think it's one of the major issues. I think the economics and balancing our budget is number one. I do think controlling our ice caps and making sure the oceans aren't rising is another concern.
We can do what we can do. That's but not at the expense of the American citizen.
And there is more and more skepticism emerging amongst global warming. I mean, just the Chinese Institute of Science, which is one of the top 10 accredited institutes of science, they just published a policy report from the Heartland Institute endorsing climate change skepticism as kind of a train of thought into the mainstream, which is kind of interesting. This kind of thought process that maybe it's not all this industry, maybe there is a little bit industry, but a little bit natural, or sunspots, that I think is very interesting. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think it comes down to the individual. What type of energy are you trying to create here, and where are you trying to do it? So Obama has opened up offshore oil drilling, but if you want to drill in Alaska, you're going to face more regulations. That's just how it works.
Let's open it up to a little bit different part of the discussion. It does have to do with the environment and climate change. This week, there's been a lot of discussion about the Keystone Pipeline because there's been an internet campaign to try to shut it down. There's a billionaire from New York, I can't recall his name, that is funding this entire thing. He was a top donor for Obama. Julia, do you think we should build a Keystone Pipeline, or do you think we should sit back, or what do you think the next move on this should be?
I'm going to say yes. We should be using our continent in order to get oil instead of going to the Middle East and paying ridiculous sums of money and getting into further conflict. So I say, why not? It's stupid not
drill,
to.
baby, drill,
yeah,
right?
It's energy independence.
We have our own resources that we can be using. Why are we using it from the Middle East? It just does not even make any sense.
And we are the Saudi Arabia of coal. And there's this huge war on coal being waged.
Right, and then when we have problems in this country, I say that the best social program is a job.
Well, of course.
And then and right now, by not allowing the Keystone Pipeline to go through, TransCanada Corporation, which is the company that is going to help with the construction, they're the ones that are promoting the Keystone XL. They said that is going to bring 20,000 new jobs to America.
Right, and look at people that believe the multiplication. Look at all the multiplication of new revenues that's going to bring in. I mean,
and I think that when you build the Keystone Pipeline, TransCanada is not going to make sure that there are leaks in there so it explodes. They're going to have the highest, strictest regulations of their own company.
One of the issues is, and we see this with road construction that's going on all across the U.S., is it creates a lot of jobs when you create the actual pipeline. But once it's built, it's not going to employ those people anymore, but it's going to be a constant impact on the environment and the natural
there's going to be
habitat
maintenance jobs. It's a lot more than just shifting metal together. These are important jobs in America that people need right now.
Well, again, it's not a government program, though. That's the thing. This is a private enterprise initiative that they want to bring new energy, and they say, and again, there's an example. There's a company in Arkansas, and all they do is they make tubing for pipelines. And they were contracted to get like $1 billion worth of revenue last year for this. They might go out of business if this doesn't go through.
Right.
So look at the other small businesses that are tied into this. It's a lot of other repercussions.
And there's pressure on the companies, and they will respond with pressure. That's the free market in motion. We can have NGOs talk about the importance of conservation and things like that. That's the best way to go about it, in my opinion.
Well, I think this was a very interesting discussion. I think with global warming, you know, it's going to be a hot summer. I think it was 117 in Phoenix last week. But again, we need to be skeptical of all things because it's not a scientific fact that you know, global warming is completely caused by man. I think that, you know, skepticism is important. But no matter what, enjoy a nice, warm, hot summer. That's for sure.
Obama.
We'll be right back when we talk about the GOP and whether or not they should endorse gay marriage in their platform moving forward.